Pause. Silence. Let's reconvene in person again, to reconnect, to tell our stories, to listen, to disarm ourselves of preconceived notions, to reframe, to reflect, to unplug. Welcome to #Unplugged22. Take a victory lap. High five a friend. This is your moment, our moment. Together, we unplug to connect again and remember why we started. Let's evaluate our community and our digital impact with quality conversations rooted in context. We're about real connections that translate into real-life action. Brought to you by Jamlab Africa and the Civic Tech Innovation Network.
Hello, and a warm welcome to Jamfest 2022, a premier event organized by the Journalism and Media Lab, otherwise known as Jamlab Africa, which is a project of the Wit Center for Journalism in Johannesburg, South Africa. Jamfest 2022 is co-hosted along the Civic Tech Innovation Forum. We thank you for joining us from across the continent and the rest of the world for this year's festival under the #Unplugged theme. My name is Jeff Kelly Lowenstein, and I work as the Executive Director of the Center for Collaborative Investigative Journalism, or CCIJ. I'm also the Padnos Sarosic Endowed Professor of Civil Discourse at Grand Valley State University. I'm thrilled to be facilitating this session titled Metaverse and Desertification. Our hope is that you will leave this knowledge-sharing discussion with a better understanding of journalistic possibilities in the metaverse and how our collaboration with our friends and colleagues at HumAngle came about. I'd like to cover just a few virtual housekeeping guidelines. If you can, please share and tweet about today's conversation on social media using the hashtag #JamFest2022 and #Unplugged2022. We would like for this discussion to be interactive, so please use the Q&A function for any questions directed to our speakers, as well as your comments and queries. Kindly be aware that this session is being recorded and will be publicly available on our various digital platforms in different formats. And before we get started with introductions, I just wanted to thank Lucy, Kwazi, and Lawazi, all from Jamlab, and have been doing just a terrific job. So thank you for them. So we just wanted to get quickly into introductions and then explain the format. Kunle Adebajo is working to join us. So Kwazi and Lawazi, sounds like he thinks he might be not quite in the correct space. So perhaps if you could connect with him, that would be great. He is investigations editor at HumAngle, a media establishment that focuses on reporting conflict, development, and humanitarian trends in Africa. He was with ICIR as investigative reporter. He's won multiple different recognitions, including the Wole Soyinka 2021 Award for Investigative Journalism, is passionate about human rights and accountability, and how human-centered storytelling can bring attention to these issues. So we're very optimistic he'll be joining us very soon. We will start by hearing from Serena Stelitano. She is our metaverse designer at CCIJ, and she says that she's fascinated by new media and tools to implement social and environmental justice on a local and planetary level. Since 2016, she's collaborated with Web3's brightest theorists, developers, and artists, learning everything she can from them. She has designed and built virtual spaces in the metaverse since 2019, and she joined our team at CCIJ and says that she couldn't be more grateful and stimulated by this collaboration. So we're thrilled to have such high-quality presenters. Here is how the session will go. Serena will take us through the metaverse space she built in collaboration with our team. She'll be stopping every 10 seconds or so to illustrate where things are going. This is specifically with the collaboration we did with HumAngle. Kunle will then talk about the project and the process of doing the journalistic work and working from their side. He and Murtala Abdullahi were in the field, did fantastic work in consultation with our visual editor, Scott Lewis. I'll provide a little bit of context about the project as a whole, and then we will turn to questions because we know we have just 45 minutes, 40 now, and we want this to be as interactive as possible in keeping with the Jamfest spirit. So, without any further ado, thank you so much, and I will turn over to Serena. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session. I will now share sorry, I'm having a little
Well, while Serena is working on getting that going, I'll just give a little bit of context for the project. So this project came about because at CCIJ we had grant funding for the first 5 months of last year, and then I realized that we were a little bit short of stories on the pipeline. So we put a proposal out to the team. The team responded. Yushi Wang, our data fellow, did an excellent pitch about the issue of desertification in Nigeria. And then from there, connected with HumAngle, who then we forged a relationship and they became our partners. We had previously launched in the metaverse May of last year through a project in the Gambia. So this was now the second project we were doing in the metaverse. But as we'll see, it was really the process of very close collaboration with the team of HumAngle and then also the team of CCIJ. So, Serena, are we good?
Yes, we can start.
Okay, thank you.
Here is our. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. This is the beginning of our installation, the entrance where we put a couple of objects and links to quick connect to the reportage on our CCIJ website. These objects are useful for us to move around by teleporting in the different rooms of our design space. We have a data room, an immersive room that we created to mimic the desert, engulfing the spaces in the story. And yes, I will play this. This is the immersive room. We wanted to give the impression that people are living day by day in Nigeria. So this way you can explore around and feel a bit in the desert and read about these farmers and the herders and the crisis that is going on. Okay, now we are ready to jump to the second room, which is the data room. Here we designed a space based on Yuxi data visualizations and all the data she provided for this story. And as you can see, there's both 3D models and also videos to showcase this data. Sorry for the noise. Let me stop here. Okay. Can you still see and hear me?
We can hear you, Serena. The screen is quite blank.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me try to. Yeah, maybe my PC is a bit freezed right now.
No problem. That gives us a start. It gives us the first level, which is a more immersive experience, and then from there, the second level, starting to get into the data visualization. So maybe, if it's okay, maybe we can switch gears and bring Kunle into the conversation. Kunle, we're thrilled you're here. We read your bio and your many impressive accomplishments. We didn't go through every single one, long list.
Thanks, Jeff. It's good to finally be able to surmount the hurdles and make it to the session. It's a bit embarrassing, actually.
Yes. So, no, you're fine. You're fine. But Kunle, can you talk a little bit as Serena is getting the video ready about from your perspective and HumAngle, how the project came together, the experience of going in the field and working with, I know you have obviously a wonderful GIS expert on your side as well. So can you just talk us through for your side?
So when we started talking about the reporting idea last year, sometime in mid 2021, I mean, we didn't imagine it's going to end up on the metaverse, right? And I'm not sure if Jeff's team knew right away either. But because of because of the trajectory that the story took and the quality of visual element and I think also the quality of materials that we were able to gather, it just seemed suitable for that kind of experiment. And my team is glad. HumAngle is very thrilled uh, about the outcome. So the story itself deals with the dynamics of interaction between herders, pastoralists, and farming communities in Nigeria, and how those dynamics are influenced by environmental factors, specifically desert encroachment, climate change, water scarcity, drought, and similar variables. And so my colleague and I, Murtala Abdullah, and myself, went to communities in Yobe State, Unguru, Yusufari, and communities in Adamawa State to investigate the linkages between these environmental factors and quality of life, conflict, safety of human lives and properties. And we were able to establish connection between the desert encroachment and increased violence in that region. And so that's really the gist in that story. And what we did was not just to speak to human beings on the ground about how the desertification is affecting them, what they are doing about it. You know, they told us a lot about how when the dry season is approaching, you find dead bodies of animals in those communities because they don't have things to feed on, they don't have grass, the water, there's very little water. The wells in those communities will dry up when it's dry season. And you find that communities, a lot of communities close to the Sahara Desert have also been swept off the feet of the earth, and they are now covered in huge sand dunes. So the people in those communities have become displaced and they now move to other areas where they can find vegetation and adequate water. So it is the movement of people, especially pastoralists that used to be stationed in certain places and are not nomadic, because we have that distinction has to be made. There are pastoralists, settlers, who constantly migrate between one place and the other, and there are pastoralists who settle down in certain communities, so they farm and then they also tend to their cattle. But these people now have to move to new communities, and because of the scarcity of resources, you find increased competition over those scarce resources between these people, and that's actually what causes the violence. So what we did was not just to talk to people. I mean, we spoke to farmers, we spoke to herders, we spoke to one farmer who became injured. He was shot with arrows and ended up at the emergency room in the hospital in Yobe State. So we spoke to people who had been affected by this conflict, but we also examined the data. So I'm glad Jeff mentioned the GIS component. So we have a geospatial experts at HumAngle who also examined data from, say, the Surveyor General's office. We looked at satellite images comparing how the communities were 20 years ago when the desert encroachment was set to have started and started affecting these places, and how the communities are today. So you find that there are places where there used to be build up areas, buildings, structures, schools, but now those places are just sands. It's just sand that covers those places. So we were able to also use data, satellite images and also budget information to substantiate the points that we made in that report. And it's all this, the infographics, the pictures, the videos that we've now combined, for the Metaverse exhibition.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kunle, and I couldn't agree with you more how thrilled we are to be partnering with and learning from our friends and colleagues at HumAngle. And as Kunle was just saying, this actually, the GIS component worked very well, both because HumAngle had such tremendous expertise and because at CCIJ, we treat visual, data, and investigative elements as equal partners. So thank you so much for that, Kunle. Serena, you want to give the video another try? Is that okay? And Serena's also put in links to the Voxel site. But Serena, are we good to give it another try? Yeah.
Yes, I think it goes in contrast if I don't stay on the same page. So probably now you can see the video.
Yes.
Yes, beautiful. So here we are in the upper room where we put photographic the photographic reportage and also a video that has been produced in association with this reportage. And yes, here you can see the same the same objects that we put everywhere in every room, so people can easily move around in the space with not much problem. Here is the room where we have the collaborators, reporters for this story, and yes, the experience was wonderful to begin with this project. Super interesting reportage, and also a very very fruitful collaboration for me to design the space. Here's some of the drawings I made to start thinking about the design, and some early stages of the build. Hello?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Serena. And we're at about 25 minutes out from the session. Thank you so much for taking us through that three-stage and kind of three-story installation, which had the immersive environment, very much relating to what Kunle you were describing, as far as the changes that they saw in the area in northern Nigeria when they went out into the field, the data visualization elements, and then from there, the visual elements, including that very powerful image that opened the story that Kunle described of the elderly man with the arrow in his shoulder. And I've put in the chat the link to the story on the website, so people can have a look at that. So maybe Kunle, can you talk a little bit about what the experience I know of going into the field, but how you see what this collaboration has meant for HumAngle and where you see things going forward.
Yes, so at HumAngle, we've always been um, passionate about innovative storytelling, and for a long time, I mean, one report that particularly caught our attention and the attention of our editor in chief was 7 grams that talked about cobalt mining in Central Africa, in the DRC, and so it uses augmented reality, and it analyzes the manufacturing components of your phone and tells you how much of cobalt was used, and then it takes you into the world of the mining process and the dangers and the surrounding difficulties and controversies around that. So it's so augmented reality, virtual reality are powerful tools really, and currently we now have an interactive desk that does a lot of innovative storytelling, using elements that interact with the viewers. Uh, so that was a desk that we created this year, and I can say the collaboration with CCIJ is one of the things that pushed us into this direction, because you can now see what the possibilities are, between metaverse development, VR development, and storytelling. So for me, it was personally intriguing seeing that story materialize in such a manner. We were very very excited to receive, the first video from Serena, when it was still like at the development stage, because so it was for us it was very exciting, and then for me to also personally experience to enter, even without the VR headset, I was able to use my laptop, get my avatar, and then walk through that space, experience the shifting sand dunes, experience the images on the walls, the documentary, and I even just played around and visited other events on Voxel. So it was really interesting that you can do that, and I'm sure this is just a start. Another interesting fact for me is that. You can also interact with other people. So when we did the launch, the CCIJ event, you would find other people also entering into that space, and you could, switch on your mic to talk to those people, interact with them. And there are a lot of movements that you can make to also express yourselves. With body language, you can clap, you can jump around. So that's so it makes learning fun, and it means you can get educated and enlightened about a certain issue while also really having a great time. And I think that's one of the major takeaways for me.
No, thank you very much, Kunle. And in addition to the very high quality of work that HumAngle does on a very consistent level, there also is that openness to and engagement and innovation, which obviously is very much in sync with Jamfest and Jamlab. So, Serena, can you talk a little bit about that collaborative process? Kunle was just talking about they saw the first video and how exciting that was, and what was very positive on our side was the first video that the first space we did with CCIJ was a little bit more like a gallery experience, which was great, but there wasn't as much interaction either within the team at CCIJ or with our colleagues. So can you talk about that collaborative process from your side, because it's such an impressive aspect of your work, Serena? Then maybe I'll give a little bit of thoughts of why we're doing this and what has happened. Then we can turn it over to questions because we want to engage with the audience.
Sure. To me, the collaborative part of this whole work I'm doing at the CCIJ, it's I think the main goal I have. So I love to see reactions from people, of course, to my work, but I also like very much to build directly with the people involved. And so yes, it was really a really rewarding experience to design together and to try to understand and deliver what was important in the story. So try to find to construct a proper place for these people to be heard in their stories and what they are living. So yes, it was wonderful also, as Kunle was saying, to see people engaging and talking in the space, and it was really a very rewarding experience. I love that we can apply this buzzword that's metaverse for virtual experience, and as Kunle was saying, to learn to pass something that can be useful for the visitors and also for the people involved. So yes,
Yeah.
it was really, really wonderful.
No, thank you, Serena. And Kunle made an important point about the launch event and the kind of interactivity there and where things are going forward. And one of the issues that we want to be forthright about is we know that there's data issues around using voxels. We've actually switched to spatial. So can you talk a little bit about kind of next steps, Serena? Is that okay? Where you see us headed?
Yes, now we are designing in a new space. We did for a couple of months. We did a research on these new sprouting spaces in the metaverse. So yes, we are exploring what the metaverse can offer to our team and our stories. And spatial, it's a new space that allow you to also use not only voxels models but more complex ones, and also it has customized avatars that we thought with the design team was an important part, because people like to feel really themselves or a character rather than a more simple boxy avatar. And yes, so we are developing this. There's 6 stories that we are working on from South Africa, the rivers of sewage reportages. And yes, they will be spaces with more interactivity, and also visually and graphically more engaging, I think. So yes, we are developing this with Scott and the design team.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, Serena. And Scott Peter Smith who is a member of our community. Yes, and thank you so much for bringing that up. Scott Peter Smith has asked any particular reasons you built the experience in voxels, any pros and cons you can share in that decision. Noted that you're talking about spatial. So before we turn to that, I do just want to thank you so much for the question, and we'll start to move into questions. I just wanted to say briefly how appreciative we are of the collaboration with HumAngle. Both Kunle and Murtala, before they went into the field, we talked initially about a photographer going with them, and they explained that for security reasons and working with the fixer, they wanted to take those images and video on their own. And so they worked very closely from the field with Scott Lewis. They would send the images and then he would respond. And so that really improved the quality of that work, that willingness and that openness. And in fact, the work that they did won the initial Visual Insight Journalism Award from the Institute for Nonprofit News. So that's really a remarkable testament to their professionalism. And just the last thing I'd say is that we really see being in the metaverse as a way to try and reach new audiences, as a way to try and generate revenue for journalists through the sales of NFTs. We're still early in that process, and as a way to have inalterable content. So at a point where images and text and data visualizations are being altered all the time, we see that as a potential backstop against that. So I just wanted to mention that, and then turn over to Serena, and then if anybody on building in voxels, and then any questions, we're very open to hearing as well. And we want to make sure, of course, Kunle is still actively involved. So Serena, about the building.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, Voxels was one of the few spaces available for people to build in the metaverse with Web3 attached. So we are exploring also the monetization through tokens part of Web3, not only the metaverse, which maybe we will be able to use as a venue also to generate a profit from these stories. Voxels was my first choice when I started to build, because it lets you own the land. So this was very important at the beginning of the metaverse, because in many spaces, virtual spaces, you cannot really own a digital content, which is the land you build in. So yes, at the beginning was for this reason, because it enabled both builders and people who wanted to have a presence in the metaverse to actually own the place and do anything they wanted with it. And I still love Voxels. It is really improving and adding a lot of very very useful things. So yes, I think the main reason was that there wasn't much to choose, but Voxels still was a very beautiful platform. The community and the builders, the developers are really really interesting beings, and they want to share. They want people to be able to share their content and build, and in a free environment. So also free from censorship and all of that concerns. So yes.
No, thank you very much for that, Serena. And Scott, thank you for the question. We welcome any other questions. And on the CCIJ side, my brother, John Lowenstein, who was our innovation director, he was really critical in pushing for us to get on the metaverse and actually initially purchase the land that got us there. So thank you so much for that. So Kunle, while we're waiting for other questions, can you talk a little bit about HumAngle in general and the kind of work you do, and how this story fit into some of the other projects that you do? I know you talked about the other one related to the phone and the components of the phone, and very exciting work there. But it's really a tremendous organization that's grown very quickly and started, if I understood correctly, right during the beginning of the pandemic, or in that year. So Kunle, can you fill us in a little bit about HumAngle to give us that context for then this collaboration today?
Oh yes, thank you so much, Jeff. So like you said, we got established in March 2020. That was when we launched officially, and it was because we saw a need for the kind of reporting that we're willing to deliver. Usually in this part of the world, newsrooms do almost anything and everything, as long as it can bring traffic. So you find even newsrooms that are willing to do like critical reporting, eventually they digress or stray into say entertainment, or whatever it is that they think will bring traffic. But what this means is that a lot of resources and time that could have been used to invest in in-depth innovative and critical reporting is diverted elsewhere. And I'm not saying this is bad, but we just need somebody to take on that responsibility and say, hey, these are underreported stories that are really important and have uh, relevance for human lives and safety that nobody's talking about, and we wanted to do that, and so we have now streamlined our mandates under three pillars, which is conflict, that's armed violence, insecurity, uh, development. So under this, you could be talking about access to healthcare, access to education, uh, disability, etc., and humanitarian issues, where you talk about people who are displaced, people who are affected by natural disasters or armed violence, and how they are coping with their situation. And we want to do this across Africa. And we don't just want to do these stories, we want to do them so well that we'll be doing a justice to the importance of the stories. And we want to tell those stories creatively as well. So and that's why we have our hands in a lot of jars. So we don't just do written articles which we publish regularly on our website. We are also investing a lot in multimedia content. So you find we currently have up to 3 podcasts. There's Vestiges of Violence, there is the Crisis Room, and there is Celebration Rikichi, which is like a Hausa version of Vestiges of Violence, available across all podcast platforms. And we do a lot of visual storytelling, video documentaries. We've been doing a lot of work, trying TikTok templates that we can also use to to share our content. And now, like I mentioned, we are doing a lot of interactive storytelling, and I see a lot of prospects. Just recently, we did. So normally you could publish a timeline using just infographics or using just text on your website to say, okay, these are the activities that happened between this time and this time. But now with the interactive platform, you can use programming, you can code to, and you can embed elements on your website so people can interact with that website and click on something, see something, and then it is designed in a way that is tailored for that particular story. And this is also good because you have lots of elements. You can read the text and listen to relevant music at the same time, or listen to audio at the same time, or see gifs within that story at the same time. And there are just so many samples, so many templates that you can use that are available depending on the kind of story that you're about to tell. So we are doing all that. And I mean, augmented virtual reality also presents another level of experience entirely, which we think is very relevant for the kind of work that we do. In the session we had earlier that I participated in, I was talking about the kinds of stories that I can tell using the metaverse. Aside exhibiting your story and the elements in that story and the things that you've observed, you can also create. So it's beyond reporting; it's just creating experiences for people. You can create a game where somebody can experience what it means to be an internally displaced person, to be a refugee, what it means to be at the war front as a soldier, or what it means to be traveling across the Mediterranean Sea as an irregular migrant moving from Africa to Europe. And so people can feel the adversities, people can feel the highs and lows of those moments without having to endanger their lives. And you can also recreate, conversations or interviews with people using the metaverse. So they are not just reading text; they are seeing the facial expressions, because now the avatars are getting more view-like, and this just improves the experience. So I think there's a lot to work with there, and there's so much room for improvement, so much things that we can experience that and make storytelling take storytelling to another level entirely.
No, thank you so much, Kunle, for laying that out. And it just really shows the very multiple ways that, in addition to the Metaverse collaboration, which we're very excited to be a part of, HumAngle is going in a lot of different, in addition to a focused editorial mission in terms of how those stories are told, how they're distributed, the audiences that they reach. That's really a lot of exciting ground being broken. And so before we start to wrap up, I did want to mention that for us, what was very exciting was that Yushi, who was a data fellow from China, who lived in Nigeria, learned to code in South Africa, proposed this story to our team. She then brokered the relationship with HumAngle, and then Kunle and Murtala and Mansir were our main contact points in carrying out this project, while we had Serena in Italy, our data editor in Greece, and then colleagues in the United States, all working together, so that being able to use technology to make that happen, we're just very excited and really looking forward to it. I did share a link about the recognition that Kunle and Murtala's work along with our team earned. And then we also won the Game Changer Award for sort of an innovative approach. And certainly our collaboration with HumAngle was part of that. So our recognition is their recognition. So I just wanted to say that we're just about to wrap up. Anything very quickly, Serena, before we wrap up? We're wrapping up in 1 minute. So anything very quickly?
Yes, it was a very beautiful session. I loved being here with you guys, and I look forward for the new metaverse experience we are building. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we invite you to join us at 14:30 p.m. CAT on this EarMeet platform for a discussion on collaboration by the Africa Data Hub Open Cities Lab. And again, I just want to acknowledge and thank our colleagues and friends from HumAngle. Kunle here is representing their team. We very much value that relationship and look forward to meeting in person at the African Investigative Journalism Conference. And then also, of course, I want to thank Serena Stelitano, our Metaverse designer, who has just done remarkable work since joining our team earlier this year. So that is it on our side. Thank you again so much for attending and participating. And again, thanks so much to Quasi, Lawazi, and Lucy and the whole Jamlab team for making this event possible. Thank you so much. That's it from us. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Okay. See you. Bye.